flat tire. So we got our lovely assistant Connor here. So on this particular van, it did not come equipped with a spare tire, but it came equipped with an air compressor. So if you get a flat tire, you just plug it into your console and air the tire out. So for what we're trying to do today, we're going to go through how you change it. So the first step you're going to do is you're going to jack up the tire, or jack up the vehicle. So we got this nice floor jack. Connor's going to roll it under here and find a spot on the frame. Okay, you know you're looking at for the frame. No, that is not good. Get down there so you can see. So you're going to look for something sturdy, probably like something like that metal there. If you push up here, you're going to dent your car. Okay, so once you're on that, you're going to tighten your jack. And stop right there for just a second. Now you got your jack set. Now another thing, depending on the vehicle you want to do is, sometimes you want to break your lug nuts free before you get the tire way up in the air. Okay, so how we're going to do that is you've got the correct 3/4 inch socket and a breaker bar. Now, if your car comes equipped with a spare tire, it's going to have a special tool that will fit just your car. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to put it on the first lug nut off there. Okay, which way are we going to turn it? Yeah, lefty loosey. So we're going to put that on, we're going to pull it to the left. We got that one broke free. We're going to go to the next one, do the same thing. Now if you're not strong like Connor, you put that with the breaker bar and going that way and just use your weight and lean down on it. Got them all broke free. You can go ahead and loosen them up some more. Jack the vehicle up. Now, we don't need it real tall, but we need it enough so that the tire is off the ground. Alright, you're good. So go ahead and take your extra lug nuts off. Take off the last foot, and that's also going to free up the hubcap, so that's going to come off. Now, all you have to do is pull the tire off. Pull it off. Come on, muscle. Alright, so usually your tire is going to be a little stuck to it, but usually you get it pulled off, jerk it. If nothing else, you got to kick it. One thing that you need to do regularly, that you just pay to do, the oil change that you do within, is rotate tires. What that means is you take the back tires and you put them on the front. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. The most simple way, and works best with a lot of new tires, is you simply just switch your back tires to the front, your front tires to the back. Alright? So now let's say Connor's got his flat tire off and he's ready to put his new tire on. So he's going to bring his tire around, he's going to line it up, he's going to set it back up on the lug bolts. There we go. In case you guys didn't know, probably heard the term lug nut. This is the lug nut. Alright, so go ahead and slip your top one off. That'll hold it. back on. There's a certain pattern when you tighten them up. Right, you need to do like a star pattern. That's what you make. You can put them all on there, it doesn't really matter. Just to give the tire a hold. Go ahead and tighten them. So when we go to tighten, we talked about the star pattern. So it doesn't matter where you start. So if we start up here, after we tighten this one down, we'll go straight across down to here. After we tighten it, we'll go up to here, back up to here, and to there. It creates a star, and that way it tightens everything evenly. You don't tighten one side and not get the other side tight. So go ahead and start tightening. Two of them snug down, so we're going to come across for a star. You notice how the tire's spinning on them? He goes ahead and gets those two cross ones tightened up. Pretty snug. He can go ahead and set his jack down, so that way the tire won't spin. Do that in the twist, and there you go. Especially the first two go through, you'll hit all of them and turn your breaker block. Put some force on. One thing you can do is check tread depth. So how you do that is you take a penny, you put it in there upside down, and you want to be able to see, or you want the tread to cover Abraham Lincoln's top of his head. This just barely does it. So these tires aren't worn out, but they're getting really close. So just maybe a couple more thousand miles, it'll be time to replace these tires. What we're talk about is tire pressure. So if you want to know how much tire pressure your vehicle should have, either on the inside of the door or on the A-post of the door, it'll say, it'll have a PSI for you. Okay, and this one, if it'll focus, should be 36 PSI cold, meaning that you don't want to, drive for 100 miles and then check your PSI because it'll be off. All right, so how do we check that PSI? So we come to our tire, and every tire should have a valve stem, okay, right here, and it'll have what's called should have a dust cap on it. We just simply unscrew it. Now this dust cap does not keep the air in the tire, that just keeps crud out of this valve stem. Okay, so when we do that, I'll let Connor grab the pressure gauge there. Alright, so Connor's going to take the air pressure gauge and he's going to put it down here on this valve stem. Okay, so it lines up, push in. Okay, let's see. So it pushed out, and according to this, we have about 45 psi, which is more than we should have, but that's okay. So when you go to say you want to check it again, or you didn't get a good check, you need to make sure you push this back up, and then you can try it again. Now let's say that for whatever reason we were low on air. How do we air it up? So to air this tire up, you're going to have some kind of end like that. And you simply just put it on the valve stem and push it in, and alright, that's good. And that puts air into the tire. So when we're done, we want to make sure that we put that dust cap back on there to keep crud and stuff out of that valve stem so we don't get a failure there. That's how we check tire. Next thing we need to do is we're going to check all of our fluids. So the first step of that is popping the hood. Connor, you know how to pop the hood? Yeah, there's a lever down here. You're going to pull that. Okay. So once you've done that, then you can go around to the front of the car. Alright, so now Connor's popped the hood, so you're ready to open it. Now, these vehicles have a safety latch so that if you accidentally pull that lever and you're going down the highway, this won't flip open, right? So Connor, how do you open it? Yeah, reach right up, usually in the middle, there's a little latch you can feel, and you just push it down, and it frees up. See it right there? That's your safety latch. Now free that up, and it'll open your hood. And the other thing is, how does your hood stay up? Some hoods are spring-loaded so that you don't need a stand. This hood needs a stand. Usually there's a hole for it to sit. Okay? So, what's the first fluid we want to check, Connor? The oil. Oil is the first thing. So, one thing to do that, you're going to need some paper towels. Alright, and you're going to find the dipstick. Can you guess where the dipstick is? Nope. That's where you put the oil in. This is your dipstick, so pull your dipstick. Alright, now can we check it when we first pull it out? So wipe it off. The reason we can't is because that engine's been moving, the oil's been splashing around, so you're not going to get an accurate reading. Alright, so now we're going to put the dipstick back in. All the way down. And then we're going to pull it back out. And then we're going to look at it here. Alright, so on your dipstick, there's going to be a mark. Now there it is. There's a little hash mark that the oil should be in that tells you it's safe. This one fell right in the middle, so we don't need to add oil. We're good to go there. Okay? So after we do that, we put our dipstick back up. Now that's the most important fluid to check. There are some other ones you can check. First of all, your wiper fluid. This is what sprays up, cleans your windshield wipers. You simply just look in the wiper reservoir, which will be labeled with some kind of wiper symbol on it. Just simply look. This is pretty full. There's fluid in there. No need to add. Your brake fluid is usually some kind of reservoir up on here somewhere. And it'll be labeled on the side, and you can see it's usually some kind of opaque clear. You see that you're within the range there, you're good. Your water fluid, you have an overflow reservoir that you can look at and see if there's water. There's usually a line on it for you. First, your owner's manual, you need to add water. One thing on water, if the engine is hot and you open the radiator here, there's pressure. That can blow off. It can burn your hand, it can burn your face if you're leaning over it. So always be careful if you have to open up the radiator gap, especially on a hot vehicle. Transmission fluid, this one is back here. Now, generally for a transmission on this vehicle, I'd not see a dipstick. A lot of vehicles have a dipstick for transmission fluid, but the only way you can check it is if the engine is warm and it's running. You can't just check it when it's stopped like this one. Same thing as the oil, you just pull the dipstick, check the level, and you're good to go. Okay, so that's checking the fluids on the main engine, on the engine. All right. Okay, so let's say you get in your vehicle and you go to turn the key on, and all it does is clicks. So it means there's probably an issue with the battery. So what are we gonna do? Okay, hopefully you have a set of jumper cables, which is what we have here, or a jumper box, which we don't have. And those are real handy, especially if you live on your own. You don't have a friend nearby or another vehicle to jump off of. But the jumper cables work just as well. Sometimes better because they don't have to be charged. But you pull up with another vehicle and you're going to hook up the jumper cables between your battery, which is right here, and their battery. Okay? Now this is standard across all batteries that you have a positive and a negative terminal. Okay? The positive terminal is red and the negative terminal is black. Okay? So this is DC power, so we always got to go red to black. So if you notice, on the battery, it's got red cables and have a big plus sign, so that's our positive terminal. And then back here, we got black cables and a negative sign for negative terminal. So we hook up, and we want to make sure we make good metal-to-metal contact on that post. We can get it on there. And then we want to do the same thing on the positive post. Then we hook up the same way onto our other vehicle. Okay, we don't have another vehicle in here, but if we did, we'd hook up negative to black, red to positive, and that will charge this vehicle and allow us to get enough to jump start it. Alright, so from time to time we'll have to check our air filter, right? So in order to do that, we're going to have to find our air filter box. It's usually going to be a big plastic box, some kind of hose attached to it. So all the air that runs the engine comes through this filter, keeps all the dust, particles, grime, stuff from the road out of your engine, which is a good thing, okay? So in order to check that, we're going to pop the 3 clips open. And then we're going to pull up on that big plastic thing. Alright, and then that right there is your air filter. So pick that up out of there, that orange thing. Okay, then we can inspect this. It's kind of dirty. This one you could maybe blow out with an air gun if you wanted. It's not recommended. In your service intervals, you should replace these. But this prevents, again, like I said, dust particles and stuff from getting in your engine. Now, if we didn't have it in there, your engine might perform better, but you might also put a piece of dust in there and then your engine no longer work. Okay, so we're going to put the air filter back in there, make sure we put it the right way, which it should only fit one way. And then we got a hook. Three hooks back there you hook, and then we flip. Okay, one other thing that can happen from time to time is you can blow a fuse. Now, there's usually fuse boxes in 2 places. A lot of times you'll have a set up here underneath your hood, maybe. And then you'll have sometimes up underneath the floorboard for the passenger seat. So if you blow a fuse, there's a diagram in here that tells you, let's say for some reason your radio's not working. You check in here, there's a radio fuse. Simply pull the fuse out. It'll have a number on it, a 10, a 15, 20. It might be a little rectangular looking thing. It might be a big box. And you go to the auto parts store, you buy a new fuse and just simply push it back in the same slot. It's pretty simple. You get a special little tool that'll pull fuses, or you can use your fingers. It just depends on what's your level of expertise and what you're comfortable with. But that's how you change it. Alright, one last thing we're going to talk about, we mentioned it earlier, your owner's manual. So hopefully in the glove box of your vehicle is some kind of owner's manual or user's guide for your vehicle, okay? And in that you'll find all kinds of information on, like, it'll have service intervals. It'll tell you how many thousand miles you need to change the oil, you need to rotate tires, you need to replace brakes. A lot of times a check sheet. Back if you have fuse trouble, it'll tell you, what fuse numbers could potentially be your problem. Any issues with controls of the vehicle, how certain things work, can all be handled by the fuse or by the owner's manual. But it's a good thing to review. If there's any questions or anything about your vehicle, go to your owner's manual. Hopefully you have one in your glove box that covers all your basics, how to operate your vehicle, and any service issues you might have. Or if your car's doing something funky, you're not sure of, or anything like that, check your owner's manual. Also, in today's age, you can usually Google your make and model and whatever it is you're looking for, find good information on